Kurupt, Young Gotti, eighth one in the world. Hey!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest. We have the man who is known for, a plethora of classics, memorable lines, some of the greatest in hip hop today. He is Kurupt Young Gotti, Dog Pound Gangsta, DPG. By way of West Philly. No, it's not West Philly. You're Darby. So you're Darby Township.
Darby Township.
Yeah, the Sharon Hill.
You know, back and forth, Sharon Hill, 2-5, Darby Township in Germantown.
Okay, G-Town. And yeah, man. To me, you've always been I don't even know if this is a thing, but tell me if you understand what I'm saying. You're like an East Coast lyricist with a West Coast mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the way you came up, you grew up in Philly like me. You know, I'm sure you idolize guys like Rakim and KRS and Kane, and it comes out in your rhymes, you know, in your delivery, in your cadence, and in just your vocabulary. Everything seems like an East Coast lyricist with that West Coast mentality. You get what I'm saying?
I couldn't have said it better.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
I always like to say Philly taught him how to be the MC, but I think Cali taught him how to, be a part of that, that game that they run.
I couldn't have said that one better either. It's like y'all read my story or something.
We're off to a good start. We've been known to be on point with some of this stuff.
Yeah, Philly's where I got my skills, and the West Coast is what, taught me my artistry, taught me the game itself. Snoopy, Lace My Chucks, taught me how to write songs and make hits. Because I wanted to kill all MCs at all times. No matter how nice the beat was, I just wanted to murder MCs. But Dog taught me how to slow it down and concentrate. Philly gave me my skill. Los Angeles made me a man. Yeah, buddy.
You know what? That's a great point you just brought up, Kurupt, because we were talking on the last episode about how West Coast songs, they were good songs, and they had, they knew how to make a hook. They know how to make you party and have a good time. The East Coast songs are more about rhyming and getting after somebody, and lyricism. They're two different kind of art forms there. And one thing that you can bring to the table is kind of meshing the two together. And that's gold right there.
That's God. God is good. He gave me the opportunity to experience both worlds. Being on the East, it was all about, battling. It's all about your skill. And on the West Coast, it was more about subject matter. Like you said, they put the hooks in there properly. They add melodies. Snoop taught me how to put melody in with it and mix it all up like a gumba. So, definitely it's the best of both worlds. I'm a living witness to that.
I said it before. The East Coast makes great music, but it's borderline depressing compared to the West Coast. West Coast, like I said, they make music for the cars, for the barbecues. East Coast makes music for the Walkman and the trains. 6 in the morning is a lot different than PSK, even though they are the same type of song. It's just because it's made with a little different love out in the West Coast than it is in the East Coast,
Well, Ice-T told me the first gangster rapper he ever heard was Schoolie D.
Of course.
And that's where he came up at 6 in the morning.
Yep.
Philadelphia.
So before we head out west, let me just say congrats, because you had a street named after you in Darby Township, where your parents are from, and where you resided many years. So that's pretty cool, because first of all, not many people get a fucking street named after them, let alone a hip hop artist.
Or living. Most have to die in order to get that shit.
Right.
Yeah, for real. It took like 50,000 petitions to get MF Doom a street, and here you are, a living legend. You get a street named after you, and that's got to be really, really crazy. Because can you imagine that? When you first came into this game, that you would eventually have a street named after you, Kurupt Way.
Never. You know what I'm saying? God is good, man. He he gave me the talent and he put me in the right places. But yeah, that was mind blowing. You know, I would have never thought such a thing coming from Darby Township. You know, I was born in North Philly. My parents are from North Philly. You know what I'm saying? My pop grew up off of York Street. You know what I mean? And my mama with my grandma Evelyn. So, you know, my father moved to Darby Township because it was a suburb back then. We bought the second house on the hill. And so, you know, I was basically raised out there in Darby Township and going back and forth between Sharon Hill and Germantown, go see my Aunt Marie and my cousin Fred, who's the reason why I rapped in the first place, Sharon. Back then he was called Skippy G. And he'd go out there right there on the corner and they had them battles and I'd be right there just watching from afar, but he was so fly in his rhymes. And that's what got me started rapping. And Snoopy critiqued me. So, you know, yeah, best of both worlds, you know, that's a blessing. And to have that street right there just shows you, and it shows the youth as well, you know, anything you work hard at, you can accomplish. You make these goals, you'll accomplish it. You know, all I wanted to do was be known as one of the great MCs. And Snoopy, Suge, Dr. Dre taught me the business and how to make music. So, you know, I'm very appreciative of Sharon Hill showing me that love. 2-5, right?
Now, real quick, now before we kind of head over to the West Coast of things, look, I think most of our listeners see you as DPG through and through, but given that you're an MC first from Philly, like we're talking about, I think most people would be surprised if you had a little bit of East Coast bias in who you revere as kind of your top choice MC. Do you have a top 5 list?
No way.
It's hard to do.
Too many.
How about one?
How about just a few of your influences?
Rakim.
Rakim.
Allah.
That's what I was
God MC. He is the one. You understand me? That's no doubt. To go to 2, 3, and 4, and 5, I can't do that. It's too. Even the new generation? And when I say new, I ain't talking about the youngsters nowadays. I'm talking about my generation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The originals without my generation and without the new generation. It's greats in all of those generations, you know. And there was greats before those generations because, you know, you got Spoonie G. You know what I'm saying? Mike Strum. You know, you got those greats. You know what I'm saying?
From the south to the west, to the east, to the north. Come on, Spoonie G, and go off, and go off.
Yes, y'all. A freak, y'all. To the beat, y'all. It's so unique, y'all.
Run DMC. Run was a DJ. And he was spilling. And I think he was one of the original ones that, well, Big Bang Hank was the original who he didn't write his rap. Somebody wrote him for him.
Cass, right?
Because, Casanova. That's to Big Bang Hank. You know, I'm the imp to pimp. The ladies fight for my deed like, come on, man. You know, it's like, but that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was Casanova's rhyme book. And he said it to a T, he even spelled his name, C-A-S. He spelled Casanova because that was his rhyme book.
That's fucked up.
That was lovely because Casanova gave it to him. He didn't steal it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the story I heard Big Bang Hank asked for his rhyme book. Like, I want to use your rhyme book. I'm finna go to the studio and I'm finna make a record. Casanova gave it to him. Like, sure, man, go for it. And he gave it to him, flying through the air in pantyhose. He might even be sexy. Because, you know, back in the days, they told stories. You know what I'm saying? You know, New York is the Mecca. And if you were listening to their shit, they told stories originally. The message. You know what I'm saying? These are the breaks. You know what I'm saying? They was all stories. That's where it started from, man. Hip-hop was storytelling and rocking the crowd, rocking the party. And you'll see a lot of that in the West Coast, rocking the party and telling stories. You know what I'm saying? And back in those days, we used to mimic MCs. We would mimic their songs because in Philly, we was, Rebel Without a Pause came out and everybody had their own Rebel Without a Pause rap. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That was the fun of it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, the Mecca, man. All I gotta say is who want to see Jada?
That's
all I gotta say, man. Who the fuck want to see The Kiss?
After last
who want to get
nobody.
Kissed tonight, man? Who wants to see a Kiss, man?
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Before we get to current times, let's do this. Because there's a lot to cover, and you have a very, very long list of records in your catalog, and you have longevity that a lot of people just simply don't have. It started 18, 19, give or take, around like say 91, 92 with you, right? You linked up with Daz and Snoop.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right? 92?
90,
because 93. 91. Okay, so 91. And you were still young. You're 18, 19, if I recall.
I was 18 years old.
18 years old. So for a lot of the listeners that do not know, or maybe some that forgot, just kind of give us a quick history, how you linked up with Snoop and Daz. And obviously we know what happened after that because the Chronic came out.
Snoopy's the key for all of us.
Yep.
Warren G is the key for Snoop. Warren G took Snoop to Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre grabbed up Snoop, and then Snoop brought all of us to the table. He brought Kurupt, brought RBX. He brought Daz. Flew Daz in from Oklahoma. He was living in Oklahoma at the time. He didn't even know how to work a beat machine.
Damn.
And he brought Warren, Warren G brought him. And then Snoop brought Nate Dogg. You know what I'm saying? Snoop, he brought us all, guys. And he was the main ideas for the Chronic, him and Dr. Dre and Warren G. And Daz, believe it or not. And that's Daz on Ghetto Boy, Little Ghetto Boy. Snoopy taught Daz how to write rhymes. Me and Snoop laced his pen game.
Was this before or after the infamous battle that you had at the Roxy with them?
The battle was how I met Snoop.
That's how you met.
That's how I met him. And when we finished the battle, we ended as friends. And he said, he's the one that said it. Whoever make it first, come back and get the other one. He said that in the battle because we was just going back and forth, killing it. And then Dog just came out the blue like you tight, I'm tight, boop wop, and just put it in the rhyme and say, whoever make it first need to come and get boop wop the bit. I said, ugh. I just bounced with him, beep bop, boop boop. And then the police broke it up, said we had to go. So it was Long Beach there supporting Domino at the Roxy. He was in the contest. And I won the contest before. So I was there as a special guest, last Boop Wop winner.
Yeah.
And I was there, South Central, Los Angeles. We was in there. Long Beach was there. And, Snoop ended it like that. And then he made it with Dr. Dre, and he kept his word. And he found Kurupt and said, come on, little nigga. I was like, hell yeah. What?
So 92 is when the Chronic dropped. And look, people were still kind of getting familiar with who Snoop was. But 93 is really what set it off. So Doggy Style came out, which we said earlier in the show that's one of the most iconic records of all time. So that's 93. Shortly after, you have you and Daz putting out some singles off soundtracks like Poetic Justice, Above the Rim. And then the year later, I think you did What Would You Do, which was off the Murder Was the Case.
Man, y'all got the DPG encyclopedia.
Oh, I know everything. A
lot of people don't bring up Poetic Justice. That was the first song we did together.
Have you ever heard of a slaughter? I ought to start dipping, sipping on that ST gets me to tripping. I don't slips, I bangs with that mad ass dog pound gang. It's a DPG thing. Kurupt from the SC. You wanna test me? Let's see if you'll survive 45 times like a hollow point headed for your dome. Take a couple steps, turn around in its own. Couldn't withstand the murderous mental. I subdue and then take two to your temple. When I cause holocaust from what's written, niggas collapsing when the straps is spitting.
Yeah. We made the group of Dog Pound. Me and Daz made that, came up with that. Dog stamped it. Said it was a great idea. Let's go. And the first Dog Pound song we ever did as the Dog Pound was Niggas Don't Give a Fuck. And it was Snoop's record. It was his song. Mm-hmm. So we got a chance to get our own writing in last verse, but the first two verses, Snoop were crazy, right? Good job, gentlemen.
Oh man, come on! I am a walking Wikipedia. Here's what I want to know though. I never understood, and I'm sure there's a valid reason why you were not on Big Pimpin'.
Because I was in Philly.
You were in Philly at the time.
That was all fucked up because these records, right? Because I was always on war records, you know what I'm saying? Lyrical Gangbang, Stranded on Death Row.
Yeah.
I just made Bitches Ain't Shit, you know what I'm saying? Off the Chronic. It was the last record we did. It was actually the G Thing remix. Dr. Dre taught me you can strip down a song and make a whole new song out of it. Just keep the drums and this part and that part and make a whole new song. Because that's what Bitches Ain't Shit is. It's the remix to G Thing. He just stripped it down to just that piece we hit.
That's right. Yeah.
And then I came up with the hook. He taught me about rhymes. He was like, my whole verse started off, bitches ain't shit but hoes. That was the beginning of my rap. Dr. Dre said, okay, just that part. Say that again. Go lay that. That's the hook. That's why my verse seems like it's only 8 bars, but that was 16 because it's the hook and the verse. But Dr. Dre made my beginning part of my verse, he made it a hook.
That's what makes him a genius. He can recognize that stuff immediately.
Genius, man. I said, wow, never count out the doctor, like Detox. Don't count it out. Dr. Dre got a whole plethora of music for Detox. He's a stickler. You know what I'm saying? He's a perfectionist. So, but yeah, man, so when every time, I leave to go to Philly, they make a classic while I'm gone. They made Big Pimpin'. Then they made 21 Jump Street. And I know that's a Long Beach song, but still, it's like, damn, ain't no telling if I was there because we was all random. Dog might have been like, Kurupt, do this little piece right here. You know what I'm saying? It's a Long Beach song, but just do this little piece right here. I like what you said. That's how you made it. You just be right there, and you write whether you're going to be on the song or not, and you spit your shit, and the motherfucker be like, ooh, that's tight. Go on and lay that real quick. Oh, okay, cool. Bop. And you make the song. So I was always gone. That's fucked up. Because Big Pimpin' was on slap.
Yeah.
That's a classic, man. You mentioned the bitches. Like Too Short might be known for being the guy to like bring bitches in, but you are known for having the most memorable verses about bitches. And I think it's safe to say your coming out party where people are like, okay, this is the next guy that's about to get on, was Ain't No Fun. That had to be it for you. I mean, that's when you start off, obviously with what you say, it solidified your space in the whole movement as, okay, this is the next rapper that's about to blow.
Well, if Kurupt gave a fuck about a bitch, I'd always be broke. I never have no motherfucking endo to smoke. I get sloped and loony. Bitch, you can't do me. Do we look like BBD? You hoochie groupie. I have no love for hoes. That's something that I learned in the pound. So how the fuck am I supposed to pay this hoe? Just the latest hoe. I know the pussy's mine. I'ma fuck a couple more times and then I'm through with it. There's nothing else to do with it. Pass it to the homie. Now you hit it. Cause she ain't nothing but a bitch to me. And y'all know that bitches ain't shit to me.
People were kind of getting a taste off Chronic. They really got it off of this album. Doggy Style kind of paved the way, and which led you guys to drop an album two years later. But Ain't No Fun in general, would you say that's your coming out party?
Well, I'm gonna tell you like Too Short said.
Yes.
Ain't No Fun is crazy because out of all my songs, my biggest record that I'm known for when I do shows or anywhere I go is Ain't No Fun. And that was one of the coming out records. Bitches Ain't Shit and Ain't No Fun are the two records where Dog told me to take a chill pill. You know what I'm saying? Bitches Ain't Shit, he already critiqued me in a way where he was just like, rap about this. But Ain't No Fun, I was talking about killing MCs, to that nice beat. That beat is so fun. And I was just like massacre, murder, monstrous, lyrical abilities, killing. Dog like, whoa. Like, yeah, I rap about something people can relate to. That's when he hit me with that game. Changed my life. And so I slowed it down. Nate laid the first part. And again, and Dog always told me, he's like, man, you come up with the title tracks to the records, you come up with the key hooks, just like Nate. And I was like, damn, for real? He's like, bitches ain't shit. You came up with that. And now Ain't No Fun. I came up with that because I ended my rap like that. You know what I'm saying? You'll never be my only one. And then I came in originally, Ain't No Fun if the homies can't have none. And Dr. Dre and Snoopy and Nate, they loved it that. So Dr. Dre was like, well, don't say it at the end of your rap, though. Just let it be. And I did my rap, and they were stuck when I said, Kurupt gave a fuck about a bitch, I'd always be broke. I never had no motherfucking endo to smoke. That melody is Snoop. I didn't have melodies. I was straight to the boop bop, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I added a little Snoop in my shit. Well, if Kurupt gave a fuck about a bitch, I'd always be broke. And then comes the Snoop. I never had no motherfucking endo to smoke. So, Snoopy taught me that melody shit. I call it the Snoop. And my most classic line, that's what everybody remembers. And no matter what, I throw that record on all the hip hop heads because we just got off a road trip, just got off a tour, actually, our promo tour for the Horsemen. And these are all hardcore hip hop fans that's there. And I do Ain't No Fun. And the whole hip hop community, the whole crowd is just, they know every line. Mm. And that's not what you rock for these hardcore hip hop heads. They want to hear some rhymes, straight bars. But they love that. Everybody loves that one right there.
You mentioned an important name. Can we just talk about the importance of Nate Dogg to you and the whole hip hop industry? I mean, nobody can do what he did, and there will never be anybody like him in my mind. Especially when it comes to hooks. So can you just talk about the importance of Nate Dogg as far as, him influencing and being a part of your career and just in general as a human being?
Well, Nate was integral also in my manhood because, he older than all of us. And, that's what he was. He was older than all of us. So he had that was his slot in the DPG. You know what I'm saying? But his melodies. I mean, it's hard to impress Dr. Dre. But Nate, every time he showed up to the dance, he was classic. And it shows in the appreciation everybody has for him. I love it because that's what Nate was. Nate was the soul of Dog Pound. He was the soul of DPG. And that's that 213. That's that Warren G, Nate and Snoop thing. That's what DPG is built off of. 213. We're built off of Snoop, Nate, and Warren G. Those are the keys to everything that we do, from the G-Funk shit to Nate's melodies added to the records. I mean, Nate is West Coast. You know what I'm saying? He took that harmony shit coming from the church and put gangster subjects to it. And I see myself in Nate because that's what I did. Nate came with his church vibe, soul, and put gangster topics to it. I came with my East Coast style, lyrics, ability, and I threw gangster topics to it. So with the topics, I tell the tale, but lyrical. And so, that's what I saw a lot of Nate and what I was doing. And I always went to Nate about shit. Nate gave me that vibe. So Nate was the vibe. And he is the West Coast. But he's music in general because the East loved him, the South loved him. I mean, Nate, he was the king.
Yeah.
He made music for the soul. There's not many people make music sometimes for the mind, sometimes, but the soul, man, when he would sing, it would hit you in a different way. And I don't think it's been duplicated since, and I don't think it will ever really be duplicated. He was a one of one, but there was
like Marvin Gaye, man. Marvin Gaye can never be duplicated. Teddy P, Nate's up in there.
Yeah. Was he the first guy of that kind to sing the hooks and be that identifiable and just guarantee a hit like that? Is he the first one you think in rap to really do that?
He's the only one.
I really can't.
Yeah, it probably is.
I really can't say that because that's such an in general question that comes to opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me that Nate is the one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
He's the first one I can remember.
The first one I know of, right, that I can remember.
And he rides the rhythm better than anybody. He rides that shit perfectly. I mean, the guys like Marvin Gaye you mentioned, songs were created around them. Nate can take a song that's created and put his shit on it and sprinkle it in just the right way.
You put Nate on your song, you're going to have a hit.
You're going to have a hit.
Nate is the male equivalent of Mary J when it comes to rap records, hit records.
I couldn't have said that better because
that was good.
Mary J is the queen. She's the queen of hip hop. Mary J, once she gets on your record, you got to hit. But she was to hip hop what Nate was to our gangster rap. You know what I'm saying? Nate get on there, he's gonna hit the subject right, and he's going to sing the soulful shit that just takes you away. And that's the same with Mary. Mary was that, when you got your hip hop record, no matter what you rapping about, when Mary got on there, she could fit the cadence of whatever it is. Hardcore rap, then Mary get on there with that soul, you know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Nate was. So yeah, the first one before Nate was Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
Oh my mama, because that's what Nate did. Nate was that. There's only those two that I think of. Mary J.
That's on point. That's on point.
King of the analogies.
I stay on point. All right.
So you stay on point like Stacey. I'm just watching. Stay on point like Stacey Adams, baby.
Let's get to the debut of Dog Food. But I want to know this real quick before we get to 1995. What happened with you guys? What were you guys doing the year prior? So 94, like I said, you dropped off Murder Was the Case. But what were you guys doing, you and Daz? Because this album, I think, was recorded in late 94, your Dog Food album.
Immediately after Dog Food, because Snoopy and Dr. Dre and Suge and made us stars with Doggy Style because we got our first video, which was Doggy Dog World.
Okay. Yeah.
So got good. An opportunity to be seen in the Dog Pounding group. And that was the first time we were seen as the group and first time we shined as artists because I was in What's My Name, and Dr. Dre picked me out the crowd with Kurupt. Go in there and fill in that gap right there for the radio version. And I hit him with the "What's your name, fool?"
What's your name, fool?
Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Bam! That set off Kurupt from the door. That was just a lie. He told me another thing. You could just G'd up.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre's classic for this. He told Warren, just go in there and just say something, fill in that gap after Kurupt. And I said, you'll never be my only one. And Warren G said, trick ass bitch. And that was it. It was classic. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did with, What's My Name? I just, what's your name, fool? That was it.
Was this like improv style? You just
That's
improv?
It. Freestyle. Improv. Yeah. Improvise, Bam, that gap right there. Okay, and Dr. Dre just takes a look and, hey, go fill in that gap. You don't know what you're going to say. You feel the vibe. If you work, you work. If you don't, Dr. Dre eliminates it, figures out something else. But we made it every time. Warren G made it on Ain't No Fun. I made it on the radio version to What's My Name. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Dre give you the opportunity to shine. It's all improv. It's not planned. It's not written. It's just straight go for it. This is what makes your talent crack, because when you call to the table, you show up and show out.
We just mentioned this. We did a 5-part series on 93. And of course, we showcased the part of West Coast in 93. And we really talked about the type of musicality, the production, the way things were layered on the West Coast was unlike any other place. You would never get the mastering that you got on a West Coast track, especially something by Dre. And the way that you're talking now about the process of how Dre does what he does, I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. If you really break it down, he was doing what the Beatles did. He was doing what, groups that were just understanding the proper amounts of music and layering and all of that stuff. It's real music. It's not hip hop music. It's music. And understanding how to produce every inch of a record without overdoing it. He just has that mastery. And I think that he's taught all you guys just a slice of that, and that makes a difference.
Everybody who works with Dr. Dre, music game elevates. He teaches you the board. He'll sit there with us and he's working on things, and you just ask questions. You also got to apply yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll be like, Dr. what's that? What you touch that button for? What? Oh, this for trouble. This makes the trouble. This is for the bass. Once I ask him that one question, he breaks down everything right there. This is that. This is the mid.
So he would do that, and he wouldn't go, man, don't worry about that shit. Just go spit the line. He wouldn't do that. He would get into the detail.
He'd give you everything, man. He loved to do that. He loved to educate. You ask him, what you do that for? I notice you do that all the time. Oh, Cook, this is for this. Watch this. This is your delay. Now, echo and delay are two different things. Now, watch my echo. And he would lace your chucks with sounds, snare, kick, cymbal, this and that, different sounds. Dr. Dre loves to educate his killers. That's what I love about the good doctor. I'm talking about God, because God brought me Snoop, and then Snoopy brought me Dr. Dre.
Now, Dre didn't do a lot of the production. It was mostly Daz off the Dog Food album, but he mixed, I believe, almost every record.
Yeah, Daz did. Only other producer on Dog Food was DJ Pooh.
DJ Pooh. And he did.
DJ Pooh did 2 songs.
He did he do New York, New York?
Yes, sure.
So when you made that album, when you made that record, did you have any idea what would the repercussions of making that record? Let me say that.
We thought we'd get the East Coast respect because I was on the mic for a West Coast artist to come with this type of rhymes and this type of shit. We thought the East Coast would love us and finally give the West Coast their respect. We didn't see it wasn't a diss because the hook is Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5.
People are looking for a problem, though.
Totally. That's exactly what it is. They put the East and the West against each other from the door. They used to call us whack, and they would highlight that in the media and highlight it. The artist was highlighting it as well, that we're whack. So Kurupt from Death Row was basically to contradict that. Like, this is Kurupt. And this is the representation of the West Coast on the mic. Ain't nothing you can say to this guy. He's West Coast, South Central right here. You know what I'm saying? With my Philly roots, South Central, he's like, yeah, he got that Philly in him, but he's West Coast because he's been here since 16. And he's, at that time, I think I was 24. You know what I'm saying? So just turning 20. I was actually 23. And so it was like, he's West Coast because I was raised there. I was in the streets, gang banging. The only thing from Philly that was still in me was Mike. My mentality and everything else, I was West Coast. So we didn't think they was tripping. We think they would love us. But it turned out the opposite. And they took offense to it. And, we got shot at. That's what made us change the whole concept of the video. It if we hadn't got shot at, we would have just shot it, gave our respects to the East Coast the best way we can, and we tried to change the way they looked at it. But when we got shot at, we took it offensive, and that's when we, made the video the way it is.
How'd that incident go down?
We were shooting the second day shoot. First day we was in, all in New York, so I didn't think people was really tripping. But then in Red Hook, Brooklyn, we were shooting the next scene. We was in a trailer, and like 3 different shots just came through. First, we just thought it was like a sound. Then the second one came, and everybody stopped and looked at each other. The third one came through, bust the light bulb. We said, "Oh shit, they shoot." We all got down. So when we got home, got back to our P's and Q's because we was all shook up. Didn't understand it. Why would they think we dissing them? And then, it was just like, well, fuck it then. One war, we're going to give them that war because we shutting down the borders. West Coast is shut down. Boom. We made the video that you see. Oh, yeah.
So it's safe to say the energy changed dramatically after this all happened. And going back to what you had said, I don't think this was something where people maybe took immediate offense until they got blown out of proportion. And I think Nori will be the first to tell you it was just an opportunistic moment for them to kind of jumpstart their career when they did LA.
LA, big city of dreams, but everything in LA ain't always what it seems. You might get fooled if you come from out of town, cause we coming from Queens.
It wasn't like they had any real beef with you per se. It was a good opportunity for them to make a response record, and a lot of people do this in hip hop. And that's what happened. And I think it kind of spiraled out of control. The media had a lot to do with it. And look, not for nothing, Death Row was a lot of hotheads. So it was like once they came with that energy, the East Coast, then it was like game's on. And 96 changed everything.
Damn right.
So 96, Suge is puffed chest. This is Tupac is coming home. He's signing to you guys. And before we get into how the whole East-West, because I don't want to kind of touch on a beat-up topic, but what was it like for you at this time? Because, I mean, first and foremost, you're an MC, but you have an allegiance with your West Coast team. You also have ties to the East Coast. So were you like conflicted of where you like stood at this time? Did you feel like, like maybe you were put on the front line and you want to be there, or are you just all in at this moment? Because like I said, with Suge, I mean, you kind of had to be like death row or you're out the door.
Well, that didn't work with us. We were the front line.
But how'd you feel about that being like you still have family out on the East Coast? So were you conflicted at all about being involved in this?
No, this was right up my alley. This is what I do.
Because that's the Philly in you.
With Death Row, that's my position. Definitely the Philly in me. And being West Coast, Philly in me was pushed to a higher level of defense and attack. It was fun, until, it came, the media changed into a real war and people started biting into that. And the mic is the fun part. The only difference is that we really wanted to fight. That's the difference, because when we go at it, it ain't just words. So that was the real change in everything, because, we came straight to your chest. The lyrical shit is cool. And then we come to you from the streets, which is straight, it's physical.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where the problems really get involved. You know what I'm saying? Because it becomes physical. It ain't like the battles we be seeing. People could diss each other and then go have a glass of wine together and shit and kick it. And understand, no, it was personal, you know what I'm saying? So we meant everything we said when we said fuck somebody. That means that when we do run across you, we gotta all get down. So that was the way we was raised in the West and how we was brought up with it. And so, you know, with the media, you know, pushing it and enhancing it, yeah, I really didn't have it wasn't really no conflict to me. It was real simple. This is the squad. Because we were like a gang, you know, Death Row, we was a gang. We all came from gang banging. We all came from that. So our loyalty and our push was straight from the streets, gang banging. So it was us or nothing. We all had that mentality before we got to Death Row with our own neighborhood. So now you got us all together in unison, Bloods, Crips, Essays, Samoans, all on one page, following one program. Yeah, that's a problem. So what my family would say or would think anybody from the East, they'd be like, but you from Philly. Right? I'm from 60s. That's where I'm from. Dog Pound Gangsta, Crip. Whoever want the issue, you're getting it. That's it. The best thing to do is stay out of it. You know, that was my mentality when I was young. You know what I'm saying? You really don't look at it. The most you can do is participate and push for your squad.
So what would you say to your young self at this stage of life in retrospect?
I wouldn't. I'd leave that nigga alone.
Can we then now look back and say maybe Dre caught a little bit more flack than he deserved for leaving Death Row and not aligning himself with that whole East Coast, West Coast beef, if you will? Because I know there was a lot of turmoil in '96 because of that. And it unfortunately was kind of like the start of maybe the decline of Death Row, because Pac had died later that year. I mean, and then Snoop, before you knew it, was on No Limit. So Dre leaving, if you want to call him the captain of the ship, to jump ship and rock with Jimmy Iovine and start his own thing. Do you feel now in 2021 that maybe he didn't deserve some of this, you know, of the criticism that maybe he received back then?
What did he receive?
Well, a lot of people were not happy that Dre left the camp, that left his team. Tupac was pretty adamant about it. Suge was pretty adamant about him leaving. And, you know, people viewed it as, all right, well, look.
Who else felt that way?
I guess what you're trying to lead to is the media made it that way, and maybe you're right. But I mean, that's the perception, I guess. And that's the only thing I think hip hop listeners can take away from it is what we read and what we see on TV. So if you're telling
game is to be sold, not told. So, I mean, you know, what are you supposed to say when you say, you know, we got creative differences and we have business differences? You know, Dr. Dre built the ship.
Yeah.
So he didn't jump off the ship. He said, y'all can have the ship, and created a new ship. But, you know, people, they love a fight. Mm-hmm. So when the media painted a picture by Dr. Dre jumped ship from Death Row, it's like, I mean, when you know, create the ship, you know, Dr. Dre created the ship and he said, you can have this ship. I've sailed as far as I can with this one. I'm already building a new ship. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was creative differences, it was business differences. You know, Dr. Dre did California Love. Tupac was smashing everybody on California Love. So Dr. Dre was in.
That's a great way to put it. How you said, I built the ship, now I'm giving you the ship. I've done all I can with it, move on. That's a great way to make people understand what really was going on there.
You know, that's exactly what Dr. Dre did. Mm-hmm. Now, I built this ship. Now it's floating in a direction that I'm not liking. You know what I'm saying? You know, y'all can have that shit. I gave y'all everything I can. Now y'all floating. Good luck. I'm creating a new shit now.
I mean, from my interpretation, I would say he made music first. You know what I'm saying? Like that meant more than the craziness, and it's almost like I can't be a part of this. You know, I'm a musician first.
You gotta understand, Dr. Dre created the first war, remember? Ruthless.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre don't give a fuck about a war. He loves that shit. Wasn't the war that made him leave. Business and creative views, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, you know, to be honest, his war was real with his problems, you know, with Eric and with Ruthless Records. That was real to him. Now, all the rest of these things, like Dr. Dre was, you know, already been to war. This ain't the war I want to fight. You know, I want to make this music now. I got all mines out, but this one right here is just not real to me. And I want to get back to this music. I'm on a different page, you know, so I gave y'all all the ammunition y'all need to go on and do what y'all want to do. I don't want to be a part of this company anymore. Not because of this war y'all going through. That's irrelevant. But what is relevant is these business issues and these creative issues that I'm having is stunting my creativity around this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I gotta go. And then the second one to leave Death Row was Kurupt.
Well, I want to talk about that because you had signed with A&M Records. So before we jump to the Kurupt solo career, give me one thing that you learned from Pac that is still with you today, that still plays in your head from time to time. Because I know he had a crazy work ethic, crazy influence. I don't know if he's giving you advice, but what was the one thing that you learned from Pac that still resonates with you today?
He changed my work ethics, you know, my appreciation of the studio time, my career itself, to take this shit serious. Like, this is a career. This is serious. That's the main thing that he embedded into all of us. Because we all had our own work ethic. But when Pac came, he was a workaholic. He planned his whole day through being in the studio, going home, doing some shopping or whatever, get some rest, come back to the studio, work, and then go back home, get ready for the club, go hit the club, leave the club with bitches and hoes, and come back to the studio, boom, and work all the way till morning, and then go home. And that was his routine. But out of that routine throughout the day, he's knocking down about 6-7 songs in one day. When we go to the studio, we was coming out with one song, spending the whole day while Dad is making beats and sitting there with that process, and then maybe lay a verse and then head home and call it a day. You know what I'm saying? Be in there all night and just come out with 2 verses, no hook. And Pac like, what the fuck is you doing? Oh man, shit, man, this is your career. And then Pac gave me acting game. Told me how he got juice, how he got the role for Bishop. So showed me how easy it was to be in the acting game. He said, you know, he taught me you got to wear all of these hats, man. All of this is your talent. Every time you do a music video, that's the same thing as when you do a movie. You know what I'm saying? They direct you on what you need to do. You do it. You improvise. Your script is your lyrics. You improvise your lyrics. You know, that's, you know, so he taught me the film game. Those are 2 key things that Tupac, that stays in my mind, that he taught me. You know, he taught me the film game, and he taught me work ethics. You know, after that, I just started knocking down songs all day long. Bop, 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 bop. Okay, cool. I'm done. Let's go. I got 3 done today. Bam, the next day. Ooh, bop, ooh, bop, ooh, bop, bop. Me and Dad were knocking down 4 or 5 records a day after Pac came home. So that's what he embedded in me.
If he was still here today, do you think he'd be more of an actor than a rapper? Where do you see him now?
He'd be doing both.
He'd be doing well, because you could arguably say that Will Smith is the most, maybe the greatest rapper actor, right? When you look at longevity in the career of him, but Tupac probably would have been right there. He was already on that path, certainly musically.
I think he would have been bigger.
You think he would be doing both? I mean, I see him as like one of the best actors if he was still in the game today. I mean, he had that natural charisma that just oozed through the screen, and when he spoke, you felt it. Like kind of like, we were talking about Nate Dogg makes music for the soul. So did Pac.
Well, yeah. As you can see, rappers that turn actors, they give up one. Tupac wouldn't have gave up. They keep elevating in acting, and they keep elevating in music. Will Smith, like you said, but where's his albums?
Yeah,
stopped.
He's a full-time actor.
Common is excellent with the acting. Where's his albums?
Not the same kind of albums anymore.
Andre
that's for sure.
3000. He stopped rapping.
He stopped doing everything.
He does the acting. He still does his movie shit. Mos Def. Where's his album?
Where's Mos Def?
Mos Def to me, that is Will Smith, and then there's Mos Def. Mos Def played the first black doctor, cuz changed his accent and everything. Ain't nobody fucking. That's acting, cuz.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is pure D. He's number 2, cuz, when it comes to rappers that do acting.
Black
Mos Def is number 2.
Black Thought's a pretty good actor too.
I mean, but what roles though? Cuz do you understand what the role is? Cuz it's easy for Tupac to play his roles. Yeah. That's him. That is just him.
Bishop is him.
Bishop is him, cuz.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about Steel. And I don't give a fuck about Raheem either. I don't give a fuck about myself. Look, I ain't shit. I ain't never gonna be shit. And you less of a man than me, so as soon as I decide that you ain't gonna be shit,
playing the first black doctor, that's not Mos Def, cuz that's what acting is about. That's why Will is one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Because he's not playing himself. I mean, look at Enemy of the State. Come on, cuz. Look at motherfucking Independence Day. Come on, cuz. Look at the motherfucking movie he did with his son, the first one.
Pursuit of Happiness. That was
come on, cuz.
I'm looking forward to him being Serena Williams' dad.
That's Will Smith. Even his rhymes was comedy. All his hit records was comedy.
I always had a lot of respect for him because he never wavered from who he was.
And see, that's acting though, cuz. See, you just talking about person being in a movie, but you ain't looking at the role. Mm-hmm. What role was challenging to the nigga? That what makes an actor like Denzel, like Samuel L. Jackson, and all these great actors from the past to now was because they play a role that's not their normal whoop wop. It's easy to play yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said Def, when he played that first black doctor, that was a challenge. He changed his accent. He changed everything. How can you do them accents like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's acting right there. Will and Cuz. Because we all know ain't nobody fucking with Jamie Foxx at all.
No one.
No. Yeah, I mean, look.
But Will Smith.
Will's up there.
Will is the top. Yeah, Will's the top of the whoop bop. But after Will, if we looking at musicians or just music, period, and then going acting, you got Will, and then you got Jamie Foxx. Because like Jamie hit Ray, Will cracked Ali. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That wasn't easy to do. To practice. You know how hard it is to beat Ali? and hit to a T how to be Ray Charles. See, that's acting, gentlemen. Everybody else, if you look at their roles, they're playing roles similar to themselves. That's easy to do. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. And that's great because like Common comes in there, cuz like him on Smoking Aces. I've seen so many different films of Common just playing different shit like that. But Jamie, Mos Def blows me away there, bro. Then you got Mos Def playing that one character where he was that one boy that was kind of slow that they wanted to kill.
Oh shit! What movie was that?
Exactly. See what I'm talking about? That nigga Mos Def is special with them acting chops. But where are they records at? See, Tupac would have kept doing the acting and going to the top and acting, but he'd still be dropping classic ass motherfucking hit records, guys. He dropped a hit record that went platinum because he was in the penitentiary, couldn't even promote it.
So you have a lot of acting credits to in your history. Do you like Hollywood? Do you like acting, or you got several roles and decide that you don't like it, or how do you feel about it? What do you think?
I love it, but I will tell you this: a lot of hard work, a lot harder work than I thought it would be. I thought, hey man, you should do it, have fun, but that shit's a lot of work. There's more work than making records and going on tour. This shit is real. So I grew a different respect for actors when I cracked my roles because I had to earn them, and then those long hours, guys. I mean, shit, you're filming the same thing 12 times to just get one take. So, that's that Tupac. Tupac and my son's mother, Tina Reed, rest in peace. She was one that took me to William Morris. And Tupac gave me the game and how to act and relieved my fear. And so those are the two for the acting side of things. And, I love it. I'll be honest, it's my second woo-wop. You know what I'm saying? The music is first, and then there's acting. And so, I do both. Right now I'm on my music page. And then I'll give music a break for a second, go on my acting page. And I'm going to go back to my music page, and I'm going to work for the rest of my life.
So let's get back to the music, because we haven't touched on your debut, Corruption. A&M Records, which now makes sense to me because you were on the Slum Village record and they were signed to A&M. You were on Back and Forth. So that's probably how that collaboration went down, right?
Oh, yeah.
This was Jay Dilla before we know him as Jay Dilla today. So
Jay Dilla. He's special too.
Since I was young, dumb, and hung, hard to believe and hard to breathe, like I'm missing a lung. It's all foggy, low, let me through the fog. Coop, missing Dash, Snoop, and Nate Dogg. Gotta get in where I fit in, sitting, put my bid in, standing as a man in the land of the forbidden. Hard to realize till I saw it televised, and that made a young brother have to open his eyes. I had a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of money I miss. But without that whole lot of money I miss, then Kurupt couldn't rock like this with a knot like this. I learned game, baby.
Corruption. This was an interesting record because it was a double album, which wasn't that common back then. I mean, I know Pac had done it. Wu did it. Several people did it, but you dropped a double record. It was like an East Coast, West Coast edition, right?
Yes, sir.
East Coast, if I recall, the We Could Freak It was the lead single. You had Buckshot Shorty on Light Shit Up, and then of course on the West Coast side you had a lot of joints like I said, We Could Freak It. I think you had two versions. One was with Nori and one was with
yes sir.
Baby Yes. So let's get into this particular album because this is the debut album. This is where people were expecting you to. This is what they were waiting on after all the years prior. This was off Antra Records, which we're going to get into in a little bit. You put out 3 records on Antra, right? This was the debut. So tell us about the debut album, your thoughts on it. If there's anything different you would do on this album now, and I guess the making of this album, because like you said, there was a lot of turmoil, a lot of stuff going on at the time. This is 1998. So there's a lot of stuff going on in your world to lead up to this record. Tell us a little bit about that.
You know, being my first solo record, it had to be about Kurupt. What makes Kurupt? Well, you know, the East and the West Coast. So I wanted to give back for my first venture into this solo game. I wanted that record. I dedicated that record to the two places that made my career, which is the East Coast and the West Coast. So I made a whole dedication to the East by doing all East Coast music, East Coast producers, East Coast artists, and one for the West. West Coast artists, all West Coast producers. Dr. Dre told me I would have probably went platinum if I wouldn't have made it a double album and just kept that concept, but do half the album West, half the album East, and made one LP instead of a double one. But I had so much I wanted to get off my chest to release for the East Coast, and so much to get off my chest to release for the West Coast. I wanted to give them their own wop-wop. I wanted to give them their own album. So that's what the whole concept of Kuruption was. All this East Coast, West Coast war stuff and all these at odds. And I'm built to both worlds, so I wanted the album to reflect both worlds. That's why I had two versions of We Can Freak It. It wasn't my first single, it was successful. So back then, remixes was cracking. You know, a lot of remixes of songs. So I wanted a remix, but I wanted it East Coast. So we Can Freak It West Coast. Now let's do a We Can Freak It East Coast. And then I got my big homie to do the beat. And I hollered out to Nori. We became good friends. So Nori decided to get on there. Stevie J did the beat. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that was different because Nori made LA. I made New York. And now we're together on one whoop wop. I thought that was historical. Bad Boy, Death Row became enemies. And Stevie J came from the Bad Boy Squad. Kurupt's from the Death Row Squad. So that one remake I felt was very historical and very good for hip hop in general, showing this unity from Bad Boy production, Death Row artists to New York, and LA. All that coming together as one. So, you know, it was a historical thing for me and a great set for my solo career by giving back to the East and the West Coast.
A year later, it didn't take you very long. You dropped your sophomore album, which is Streets as a Mother. And I'm going to say, because I know this is always comes down to difference of opinion, but this probably goes down as one of the most important West Coast classics, in my opinion, of all time. I think it's a great companion record to Dre's 2001, which dropped in 99 as well. I think this is also where you kind of entered your comfort zone as an MC. You've always been an MC, but now you started making music that, like I said, will go down as some of the most important records to come out the West. And I know a lot of people have chemistry. People are always going to associate you with Daz. But I got to say, man, you and Fred Rec have always had great chemistry. And I think you guys have made some of the best music together. And it started on this record.
Yeah, buddy, Daz brought Fred Rec to the table. Daz had a CD, Beats, Fred Rec. And we picked two of them. Daz picked two of them. Represent that and Who Ride With Us. And that started the Fred Rec and Kurupt team. You know what I'm saying? Fred became my Dr. Dre. And I was Snoop. And with Daz, you know, that's the dog pound. Whole wop wop is Daz. But solo wise, Fred Rec was my Dr. Dre.
Okay.
So Daz brought Fred to the table. We made classics. We made some classic, great records. We made hit records. Streets as a Mother was the setup. You know, the Chronic, the 2000 version of the Chronic, the second Chronic, and Streets as a Mother dropped on the same day.
That's why I said it's a companion record. If you listen to both records, it has a very similar vibe, and both records have Hoes of House.
Right, because that was for the Chronic. But I loved it so much. And then the hook came from my song from Corruption. I had a song on there that I made the beat to, I produced it, called Hoes of Housewife. And Dr. Dre had that beat up. I just started rapping Hoes of Housewife to it, and Dr. Dre loved it. So he was like, play that. I said, but I already did this on Corruption, Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre was like, I don't give a fuck. But lay that shit right there, Kurupt, that's tight. Trust me, nobody's gonna give a fuck. And I was just like, okay. So I did the hook and my first verse from the song from Corruption. Dr. Dre taught me that too. Like, man, that shit, it just doesn't get old. I could do my same shit to this new beat, and it'll be a whole new record. Like, wow, I never stop learning when it comes to Dr. Dre. He always teaches me something new. So, you know, I did it. Dr. Dre loved it. And then he made that version. I loved it. I called him and I said, Dr. Dre, I got to have that record, man. I got to have it for my album too. That's the only record I've ever seen Dr. Dre allowed to be on somebody else's project and his. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Dre was like, cool, I'm with it. That's why I love Dr. Dre. He supported me to the fullest with my solo career, my death row career. So that was amazing to me right there. Dr. Dre was willing to let me get on that. And I could use it for mines. He said, I'm going to change mines up, though. I'm going to add other things in it so you can have this version of it. And I'm going to do mines a little different and add this to that. And so that was historic. Because Dr. Dre don't let you put something. He'd be like, no. You know what I'm saying? But he loved Kurupt. Oh, yeah.
We now know how Fred Rec came in the picture. I want to know how you linked up with Organized Noise, because they produced a few tracks off this album as well. Specifically, I Call Shots, which is, I think, the lead track off the album.
Right.
I call shots round here. Tell me to pop, not to pop round here. Slow down there. Don't make too much noise. No run the blocks round here. Psychosomatic, automatic static, catatonic, supersonic, bubonic, chronic addict, astronomical when the thunder dome center in the depths of the dungeon, dangerous, dastardly catastrophes, metamorphosized into a pit, pteranodon cracking the bricks on the walls, camouflage on the side of the line, about to put something up in the garage. It's time for World War III, motherfucker. You know me, young got T, motherfucker. I hold the microphone like a grudge, in a lag laid back, so back the fuck up.
That's Gippy.
The Gip.
Big Gip. You know, he brought me to his home. Brought me to the dungeon. Off of that, I created Dungeon West. You know, we represent from the West Coast, but we Dungeon family. Me and my brother Roscoe. But yeah, Big Gippy was the key. He brought me into his home. And Ray, Rico, and Pat, Sleepy Brown. They embraced me and took me in. Family member, laced my chucks. I stayed in the dungeon when I worked on all those records. Got on Cool Breeze's album. Got on a couple albums while I was over there. Worked with Witch Doctor and just worked with the dungeon. I stayed over at Rico's house. Me and my brother Roscoe. Future used to come through there. You know, Future and Rico were cousins. So Future used to be over there. He was young. All that came from Big Gip. Gippy!
So what was the production style differences between, let's say, Dungeon and Dre? I mean, we know how Dre was, but did Dungeon have direction? Did they just say, do what you do? I mean, Dungeon Family is definitely one of those other musical production teams that just no one did it like them too.
Yeah, they had both. Just like Dr. Dre is both. You know, they'll give you direction, you make that record. Then they'll let you go wild, whatever you feel. And it's proof in the songs. Tequila was organized direction. You know what I'm saying? And that's Nivea on the hook of Tequila. That's the first record she ever came out with in her life, was Tequila. So that was organized direction. I Call Shots was go for what you know. Like made it, Rico and them was work, they made the beat. I said, oh, that's mine. He was like, oh, you like that chord? Go for it. And I just went AWOL, went nuts. And hook, I came straight through. So they work same as Dr. Dre. You know, some songs they have direction for you. And other songs, you're the direction. Go wherever you want to go. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Before we jump to Space Boogie, I want to ask you, doing a song with KRS-One, I mean, that's got to be up there with like having a street named after you, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's Chris. That was it.
Then again, I noticed that everybody think they can fuck with us. But luckily, I noticed everybody want to be close to us. Trying to bust when they bust. I seen them, they ain't treacherous and they ain't fucking with us. My style's out this universe. Words that serve all these MCs, they can hear preverbs. I break them down, nouns and verbs. They know exactly what I do. I run through crew for crew. KRS is on you, baby.
True underground, boogie down, got them running around, coming to town, breaking them all the way down and making them frown. True underground, not a class clown copy. You'll be ass out poppy. I roll with the mash out posse, the beat down posse, terror squad. You'll find it was never hard when the clip load. Now yo flip mode.
How did that come about? I know Superfly made the beat, but I don't believe Superfly arranged that collaboration. How did that come about? Because during this time, many people who are maybe your newer fans, because there's so many different pockets of Kurupt fans. You know, you have Horseman fans that maybe aren't familiar with some of your older stuff, but you were universally known as one of the best freestylers, period. Hard stop. Wake Up Show, iconic moments. And here you are doing a freestyle-ish type of song with KRS off this album. How did this collaboration even come about?
Yeah, that was a dream come true, to be able to have a freestyle session with the greatest freestyler ever, Chris. But I think we was in the same studio working. And, you know, Chris always showed me love throughout the years. And basically, you know, I told him, come on over, man. Come to the Woo Wop, working on my album. And he came over. And we did it old school, like what I used to see the old school artists do. A lot of the music they made, it wasn't one mic and then another mic. I mean, it wasn't one mic and then this person does theirs, the other person would go in. You know, back in the 70s and the 60s, they had to go straight through because they ain't had 24 tracks and all that special shit. You know what I'm saying? They had limited tracks. So the band would play and they recorded it all live at the same time. They would practice the song, and then boom, all right, we're gonna record it, let's go. And then they just record it at the same time. Band is playing, and that was the real feel right there. You understand me? It's not directed, it's raw. And that's what me and Chris did. We went back to the 60s and the 70s with this game. We had 2 mics in the studio. Superfly pressed play on the beat, and we just went. He's right here on this side with the mic. We both were sitting in a chair too, just sitting in the chair with the mics right there. And I'll be right there. Yeah, we did it straight through, freestyle, all the way through.
Oh,
right. Awesome, man.
That was a dream come true.
It's great for 2 reasons. One, because like you said, KRS is arguably one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yep.
But on such a very, very West Coast heavy influenced album, as you get towards the back of the album, you hear this joint of KRS, and it just reminds a lot of the people that were listening, like, damn, if you strip away all that stuff, Kurupt is one of the best freestylers, period. And
to even be on the same stage as KRS-One freestyle and to make it because I made it. You know what I'm saying? Can't serve Chris because it's impossible to serve Chris. But to make it, you know what I'm saying? That was the accomplishment because we both sounded great, and I made it. A lot of rappers, man, you get up there with Chris, man, you gonna drop that ball, man. Chris, because we kept coming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We never stopped. We never stopped. We never stopped. So you got to keep going with no blemishes. That's the key. You just keep on going. You don't fall off. You just keep on going. There was times I was about to fall off on there, and I caught myself. I learned that from Chris before I even never met him. You know what I'm saying? You just got to keep on going and make it make sense in your rhymes. So yeah, that was refreshing, and it's
probably one of the most fun sessions you ever had.
Oh, definitely. Just in there. No competition, fun, freestyling, just a cipher. And to make a good record out of it as well. I mean, shit, Snoop, so he accomplished that before. He did the Shiznit. That's one freestyle straight through. No blemishes, no falling off, just straight through.
Didn't Quick do that too on So Many Ways?
They DJ Quick done it before, straight through.
Which is like one of my favorite Quick songs. So Many Ways. I'm pretty sure he freestyled the whole thing.
Yeah, you know that's the mic, man. West Coast got to get that bug. All places get that bug, man. Down south, you know what I'm saying? You got great, like Ludacris is sick. You know what I'm saying?
His voice is mint. He's got a great voice.
Style.
Yeah.
His style, you know what I'm saying? And his rhymes, his word connections. You know, and that's being an MC. You make words rhyme that don't even rhyme.
He's one of those few guys for me that can go make, big commercial hits, but you dap him up because he, like you said, he's a real MC. He's got the great voice, got the total package.
I mean, they got it nowadays because, to be honest with you, don't nobody want to fool around with this boy Drake. Don't want to fool with Drake, man. He makes songs, not make hit records, but he'll get on that mic. And he'll shut your ass down. You don't want to fool with Drake, man.
He's got it. He's good. He's good at what he does.
He's an MC, man. You know what I'm saying? And Kendrick, you don't want to fool with Kendrick.
It's funny that you bring up Kendrick. I have to say, it's got to feel pretty damn good to know that, along with a few others from the West Coast, you influence a Pulitzer Prize rapper, man. I mean, you've influenced Kendrick Lamar.
Pulitzer Prize, like that's unheard of.
Crazy, man. Talk about that a little bit.
I mean, I love Kendrick to death because he's humble as well. He didn't have to give it up for Kurupt, but he did. He gave it up, and I was fucking with Kendrick. He was K-Dot. J-Rock is the key to Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? And he really put the time in to shape this young man into being a great MC. J-Rock is sick too. So it's like, Terrace brought Kendrick to my table. He brought Kendrick and J-Rock. You know what I'm saying? And through that, I met Schoolboy Q. And all of them I rocked with. Kendrick his humility is his key. He's sick on the mic, but he's humble about it. He gave it up for Kurupt as an influence. And everybody would think that Tupac and Snoop and these big known name rappers was his key. I was his Rakim. Like what Rakim was to me, that's what I was to Kendrick, and that was totally flattering. I was like, oh man, really? Because this boy is great. So that was a lot of love right there. Blew me away.
Before we bring it to current times, I do want to touch on the last record you recorded at Antra Records, which was Smoke Odyssey. This is a record where, unfortunately, I don't think it got the recognition it deserved. I don't know if it was the climate in hip hop. I don't know if it was the labels, what have you. I just feel like this particular record had so many important songs.
I'm like, fuck a bitch and fuck you too. It's so many different things that I'm gonna do. Switches all fucked up. Living in the 80s, jacking niggas for Nissan trucks, a quarter piece to flip. It's me and Daz and two bitches. I never gave a fuck, nigga, Daz and Kurupt. They say this ain't the way to get rich. I might as well pimp me a bitch.
You had John B on here. You had Everlast. You had DJ Quick. And of course, The Hardest Motherfuckers, which is probably one of my favorite collaborations, period. There were just so many good songs on here. And again, I don't know if it was the climate, because you had that whole Def Jam kind of resurgence in hip hop, and everyone was like, you know, I guess DMX, Ja Rule, Jay. That's kind of what was dominating the airwaves. So this record, for me, at least, didn't get the love it should have on the East Coast where I reside. But I want to talk about this because going back to you and Fred Rec, you guys really put together a hell of an album. I don't know if it's better than Streets is a Mother, because I think that's like your Chronic, but this is a Chronic 2001.
Well, you know, I got a record on there, like you said, Hardest Motherfuckers. That was one of them climax records for me as well, because I got the bus with MC Ren. You know, that was special. But yeah, you know, like It's Over. A lot of records on there I didn't really think people would get or would like that. Turned out to be the records they liked, like It's Over. You know, we was just having fun and clowning. I mean, I even had Natina write my verse and I wrote her verse. It wasn't the record we took serious. We was just clowning and having fun. It turned out to be the one that radio liked the most for the first single. And turned out to be the one that my company, Antra, liked the most. Joe Marone, Tyrone, and the whole team. So, you know, that blew me away. I'm like, damn, that one, no, I want to come with other records. But in the John B record, me and Fred even went as far as to rack up Fred Durst, Limp Bizkit. Yeah. That was iconic.
Lay it on back.
Yeah, with Nate. I heard that. Like, wow, Nate Dogg and Fred Durst. Oh my goodness.
I've been through the full court pressure stage. The homies gave me a 9 the first time I saw a gauge. The first time I put my feet down solid, mashing on top of concrete. Before all the ways of war, houses and car doors felt the raise of war. When life was simple as shit, and we didn't give a fuck about a bitch. 1986.
And then Everlast. Oh, that was just on Space Boogie. There was a lot of star-studdedness.
Like I said,
Streets of the Mother was at home. I brought the homies in. Corruption was just all corrupt. I went and got Battle Cat. My first original producers, Battle Cat and Tony Tobin. I went and got Battle Cat. So Corruption was just all corrupt. And then you got Streets of the Mother, where I brought the whole squad. But then you got Fame and Fortune, I felt like. Because Space Boogie was star-studded. With the Limp Bizkit was Fred Durst and the motherfucker, Hardest Motherfucker, Brennan Exhibit. And then you got
Nate Dogg was on there, obviously.
Nate Dogg, right. With Nate Dogg and Fred
DJ
Durst.
Quick.
DJ Quick, you know what I'm saying? Got a record with DJ Quick. That was epic to me, you know what I'm saying? All of that was just really epic. Then I had DJ Lethal do me a record. You know what I'm saying? That was more star-studded. It showed to me, it was showing my growth, my elevation as an artist. And that was the excitement of that.
You had a lot of songs on here that could have been singles in their own right. The Everlast song, which I'm guessing now Lethal was the connection to Everlast. John B, Sunshine was a radio joint. So the label is the one that maybe put out or told you to put out It's Over. Can we talk about the label now that the statutes of limitations have run out on Antra? So we all know Death Row is backed by Suge and his crew. Well, Antra, for many people that don't know, was a Philly label. And can we talk about Big Tyrone and some of those guys that may have? I don't think people realize Antra Records one is in Philly. I don't know if a lot of people know that. And it was, can we talk about that? It was backed by Wise Guys?
Skinny Joey.
Skinny Joey Molino and those guys. I mean, is this where the Young Gotti comes from? Like the moniker Young Gotti, because you're hanging around all these Italian folks?
Well, Tupac gave me the name Young Gotti.
Okay.
You know, he came up with his alias, Machiavelli. Everybody came up with their aliases, and Tupac said, "You're gonna be Young Gotti because you fly and you gangster."
Okay.
So that's where Young Gotti came from. Isn't it ironic that through my career, after being named by Tupac Young Gotti, because Snoop named me the Kingpin, so that's why I was Kurupt the Kingpin. And then Tupac comes home and then he creates aliases. Machiavelli was his, and everybody came up with their own. That's where Daz got Dillinger from, because Tupac called me Young Gotti. So I went back to my squad and told them we making aliases. So Daz came up with Dillinger, Snoop was Coleon. And then the ironicness is when I do my solo shit, I end up over there, with the wise guys. You know, we was gangster. They taught me a lot of business. You know, Joe Marone and Tyrone taught me a lot about the business, showed me a lot and gave me a lot of legs to be an executive and showed me that side of the game. And streetwise, they had my back 100%. Felt real bossy.
Payola.
You know, man, no joke, man. You know what I'm saying? And class, because that's one thing I really learned from being around Joe Marone and Tyrone. It's class. They taught me class a different way, uphold myself. They educated me on stature and how I should uphold myself, because you see the way they are. They uphold themselves to a certain code of their own in a way that they got to be in the game. So, you know, I learned that from them as well. And young Joey blew me away because I had a birthday party at Gotham and just rocked the streets. Joey Marlino just became who he was.
Skinny Joey?
Yeah, Skinny Joey. And he came to my party.
He lives down here by us, so that's why
our black community, they was blown away. Like, wait a minute, they like, Kurupt is the fucking name. What are you talking about? Do you know who fuck that is over there, man? Mm-hmm. That's fucking Joey Marlino, man. They was like, no way. Damn, he got Joey Marlino coming to his shit. This nigga's gangster.
If you believe the police, the underworld, once dominated by heavies like Sammy the Bull Gravano, Big Paul Castellano, and Fat Tony Salerno, has a new big shot, Skinny Joey Merlino. Philadelphia police believe Skinny Joey is as heavy as a crime boss can be these days.
That was the first time I met Joey. He came and showed me so much love. He said, "Where's Kurupt, man? Where's Kurupt?" Everybody just looking at him. Like Michael Jackson and shit, they just so amazed. I didn't know who Joey was. He came over to me, Kurupt, what? Told me who he was, man. I fucking love you, man. I fucking love you. Come on, man, let's have some whoop-wop. Some champagne, come on. And just embraced me, man. So that was exciting. Like I'm with the real, I mean, I know we Crips and Bloods, cuz this the real deal.
It's legendary, man.
You hear me?
Legendary.
Oh man, this is it. This is the top of the whoop wop. You understand me, man? This the real deal, man. I'm here with the real deal and they love me.
You're living like Sammy Davis Jr. over there. Ooh.
I mean, you understand me? I mean, I was. You hear me?
So the irony is, so Skinny Joey, we don't, anyone could Google this, but Skinny Joey, we live in South Florida. He shortly after all that, he moved down to South Florida after he got out, and he opened up a restaurant. And I'm from Philly, so I know about Skinny Joey. Actually, a lot of people know about Skinny Joey that follow that kind of stuff. So I've always thought it was kind of interesting that there was a link to that, and you you made these records. So a lot of the listeners don't know that. So I appreciate you kind of sharing some stories and letting them in on some of the behind the scenes stuff that made some of these classic records that you put out with Antra. So look, Antra later went on to fold, like many labels do, and you found yourself back on death row. So I really want to, because we spent already a lot of time going back to the old stuff, but I think it's important to give the listeners a true defining breakdown of your career because it's so important and that you've done so much. I don't want them to think it's just one particular album, whether it's The Horseman or what you did with Snoop and Dre. So it's important to focus on what you did as a solo. But I want to know this. Again, going back to Death Row was probably, I don't know if it was easy or if it was not easy, but I will say it was interesting because a lot of the people that you were riding with were not on Death Row at the time. And of course, we don't need to get into the whole beef. And there was maybe either some early stuff with you and Daz, or dust stuff. But going back to Death Row, was it hard because of the stigma that followed Death Row after Pac's death? How maybe a lot of people were pinning Suge as one of the people involved. And then, of course, obviously that Snoop wasn't there. Daz wasn't there. We already know Dre left. So it was kind of like going back from ground zero and trying to rebuild that label. What was that like? Tell the listeners the thought process and going back there and what it was like while you were signed to the label again.
Well, I was going through a lot of ups and downs myself, personally. I was kind of kamikaze. I was tired. I was over being an artist. I was over being a rapper. I was over the whole shebang. I wanted to be just an executive, my Antra experience, being the president of Antra. I was enjoying that more than I was enjoying being an artist. So when Suge came home, he gave me the opportunity to be a president of Death Row over the artist development side of things. So I was like, okay, it's just this is different. This is actually what I'm looking for right now. And Suge was like, this is the type of level that you're on, So I didn't sign to Death Row. I was still on Antra, actually. But, being an artist at Antra, giving up my position as president of Antra, I can have any job I want. Releasing records is a different thing. So I said, I don't want to do this music shit anymore. I want to be an executive, and Suge opened up that door. It cost me a lot, though, because my friendship, family ties, that was interrupted from that decision. Me and the homies was at ends. And, that was a learning experience as well. Suge give me that opportunity to develop artists and be the president of artist development, all of that right there. Suge said, basically, you're going to be the president of Death Row. You deserve this type of position. I accepted it. And, we worked on Crooked Eyes project, a couple other projects. And then I got the mic bug back and I made me another album called Against the Grain. And before that came out, I linked back up with Snoop and Daz. Snoop told me straight up, you know what I'm saying? I ain't worried about none of that other shit. You did what you had to do. It's time to come home. And I was more than ready at that time. I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's time for me to get back with the homies. Told Suge, he gave me his blessings. Said, just handle your business, Kurupt. And I left. Told him, the Against the Grain album. You can put it out, don't put it out. I'm not really tripping because I'm not going to support it. It's got negativity all around it. And I'm going to be with the homies. And I just got back with my family. And then we moved on from there. But the Death Row experience of being that executive back there, that taught me a lot about the game. Suge was riding with me 100% with this position. So I felt I was doing something right for my career and where my head was at the time.
So let's get into more current times. You just released a Horseman album, but you guys really joined forces probably around the time you're talking. It was early 2000s, or at least from what I recall.
20 years.
20 years.
Horseman.
And ironically, I interviewed you 20 years ago on my college radio show. It was during the Lakers versus Sixers final. So I think that was about 20 years ago.
Oh wow!
And it was
small world.
Small. I mean, I don't expect you to remember. I remember because, quick story, I had a guest on, and this was at the time where we didn't have like call waiting. So whoever called in, we would just patch them in. And we thought it was going to be you. You were at Antra. Shout outs to Hojo and Todd for setting up that interview. And we had this group called Eminon. I don't expect anyone here to know what Eminon is, but you will know who was a part of Eminon when I say.
I remember this.
Eminon is a group that consisted of DJ Exile, which is best known for his work with Below the Heavens, and a lot of other joints, and a then rapper named Aloe Black.
Square one. Most of these cats just can't kick it. We're next to godly, son, that's the ticket. I'm looking for a nice rich white fence to pick it. I'm looking for a nice round fat booty to stick it. These cats can't do what we do. See, we figured how to make this shit profitable. If you act a fool and you sound like stool, then for sure we're gonna have to take that ass to school.
So we didn't know who they were. We were doing a favor. Obviously, a lot of people do that as far as interviews go. But we were so geeked that you were gonna call that. When they had called in, we were like, "Yo, Kurupt." They're like, nah, it's Eminon. So we had an interesting interview with them, needless to say. And then you had called in. And like I said, that was 20 years ago. So 20 years, you guys have been rocking Cannabis, Killer Priest, and Ras Kass. You started the Horsemen. And that's got to be really difficult because, one, you got 4 different, really, really different personalities. I'd probably say you and Ras maybe align the most. But we know this is really, really eccentric, and and Killer Priest is his own man. So that's got to be really tough. But it took you 2 decades to officially, because I know you guys released collaborations here and there. There was some bootleg stuff, but officially released an album.
Yes, sir.
So what the fuck? Why did it take so long?
Well, like you said, the bootlegging, every time people would put our records out prematurely, we'd have to start again. Back then we were firm into the new and fresh music type of shit. I don't even think mixtapes was cracking back then. But we was about, every time it was released, we considered that them songs are dead. So we have to start over again. And then we all had our own separate solo careers and group careers, Priest is from Root. So having to satisfy all of those things, Priest had to do Root, and he had to do his own solo shit and his own group, Sons of Man. Cannabis was doing his thing with the Lost Boys, doing shit with Fugees and doing shit with different people in his solo career. Raz had his solo career. He was fucking with the Licks and Exhibit and all of that over there. And then I had mine. So when we was not doing those things, we would come together, have fun, get on the mic and work on the album. And they kept getting leaked. So that was the real big delay.
You've always appealed to the East Coast, even though, you're a West Coast artist. You've made records with Gangstar. You were on True Master with Inspector Deck and
That's
Pete
the
Rock.
One.
So I want to ask 2 questions. One, what's it like working with DJ Premier, who in your eyes can't be the GOAT because of Dre, which I totally get, but he's got to be like number 2 or 3 at least on your list of the greatest producers ever.
Totally. So 2 different styles, great in their own lane. Premier is definitely a GOAT. Dr. Dre's a GOAT. Dr. Dre is the one who conditioned me to be able to work with any genre of music, any producers. That's how Dr. Dre is. Dr. Dre can work with any genre of music, produce any kind of record. So with Premier, you gotta understand that hit my roots. That brought out the Philly. You know what I'm saying? Premier makes those beats that brings out the MC, which I'm conditioned in because my Philadelphia history, my 2-5 life. So you know, that was classic. That was like getting on the mic with Chris. You know what I'm saying? That was epic because Premier is Premier, for Christ's sake. Same with Pete Rock. You know what I'm saying? I grew up to these gentlemen. Yep. So to rock with the big homies like that, to be respected, and to be on a record with Guru, rest in peace. I mean, it's historical. And that's the way, you know, I felt. I brought the best MC out of them because they step your bars up. They step your everything up because you can't be on a Premier record and come in correct. So it was an accomplishment for me. Everybody ain't get to rock with Guru. Everybody ain't get the opportunity to be on a Premier record. You got to make it, being a West Coast artist, to be on producers of this caliber from the East. You know what I'm saying? And to be on their type of shit. You know, you get Snoop on a record, you make like a West Coast type of record. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Oh, I want Snoop on this. Unlike Swiss Beats, who put Snoop on Monsters. You know what I'm saying? DJ Khaled, who put Snoop on Monsters. Like, all I do is win. That's not West Coast. But he broadened Snoop's horizon by doing that. And then, you know, like Swizz, he has Snoop on the Rough Rider and that one record where all of them was busting on there. That was a monster. So with DJ Premier to be on that type of shit right there was an accomplishment. And with Pete, it was an accomplishment because they put me on that East Coast hip hop shit. And that made me feel like I was accepted amongst the East Coast as an MC. You know what I'm saying? So that was special.
And rapping with Inspector Deck, I don't know if you knew Deck was going to be on the track.
Deck, like, oh.
But
we did it all together. So
he's the guy who had to make you step up your game too, because Deck is
damn skip me. You understand me?
Deck is so good on feature tracks.
So here's my question, which you probably get, but I want to hear it out of your mouth. Why was he left off Got My Mind Made Up then?
That was originally for Dog Food. And the beat stopped and Deck kept rapping. So he still spit a 16. The beat stopped and he still spit 16. So when Daz lost it in the vault and it didn't go on Dog Food, Tupac came home. And then, you know, Tupac came home in 95. We was at our peak with New York, New York. And when Pac came home, everything stopped. So that's what made Dog Food stop. Tupac came home. And so we all had to, it's a death row formula of making music. When it's somebody's time, everybody concentrates on that one thing. So if you got a hit record that you've been working on for your album's on pause, it's not next. You give that hit record to whoever's next. And that's what made our album so bomb, is because it was built upon hit records after hit records that wasn't always for that project. See what I'm saying? So you get the best off of this project, the best off of this project, the best off of this project, all going towards your project that you wouldn't normally make for your shit. And that's why our albums were so diverse with so many different styles and flavors on one album. So it was a collaboratory thing. So when we gave it to Tupac, but his album, he loved it from the door. But Tupac wasn't in the, you know, the busting over without the beat. You know, that's a hip hop thing. The acapella, because we value them lyrics, you know what I'm saying? If he busting it, oh man, we don't even need the beat there. Just let it be, let it be. That's the love of hip hop. Tupac wasn't doing that at the time. He was like, fuck all that. That's that coast shit. No, take that shit off, keep everything else. He laid his verse, kept everything else, but then Daz and me was like, damn, Deck sounded so hard on it. So Daz pulled a twist and kept his backgrounds on there. And Tupac ain't noticed it, he didn't give a fuck. But he wanted it all off. But the beat stopped. There's no reason for him to be rapping. Take that shit off. That's that East Coast shit.
Great.
And Dad was like, man, it's too tight. And they just kept those background What he said was, INS the rebel, murderous minds, smash mind states the pebbles, mental terrorists, specialists at this, menacing lyricists, leave crews defenseless.
Crazy.
And he kept on going.
Yeah.
Like, damn, you hear what he said, my nigga? So that's why he just kept this. That's what the bars was, though. Nobody really don't know what he was saying in between there. I do.
Yeah.
Well, I still got it memorized. That shit was so wicked. I was like, oh my God. Did you hear what he said? Everybody came clean on there. Originally, it was Rage on there with us. But when we did bring it out, she said take her verse off because she used it on Necessary Roughness. She used it on the solo album, the verse. And that was perfect. Because Tupac was like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm doing that verse. I'm feeling that game. That's all he had to do. Everything else was already there. So that's why Deck wasn't on there. Pac didn't want.
Well, I'm glad they released eventually the original because
they did. I've never heard it.
I'll send it to you. I have. We played it on the show.
Hippie, man, send me that shit, man. This is bullshit.
Of course, I'll send it to you.
I never heard it. Really? Hell no, not since the day we made it.
I set the mic in flames, my name INS the rebel. Murder one style, smash fine states to pebbles. Mental terrorist, specialist at this. Menacing, lyricists, leave crews defenseless. Can't design their minds, lick off like times. To paralyze everything is ring like door time. Heads start to turn like police who pass. Hit a blast, my crew bust through like tear gas. Fuck a mask, we laced in place like the marshals. Sparkle like diamonds, but harbor the car fumes. Reckless rhymes start relentless, ruckus, and fuck up the party for you paying motherfuckers. Once I commence for your ladies and gents, I kick rhymes sharper than barbed wire fence. The live and direct from Killer Hill Projects. Staten Island, New York, you can't help but the hawk. Lay it on your gentle, that's if you want it hostile. Dancing with the ground, I write my rhymes on fossil. Tools like this force me to get you open. Lyrically wet you up until you're soaking. Word like
yeah, man. Look, epic. Yeah, of course, a lot of epic collaborations. I know Wade wants to get into DJ Quick, who I think is arguably one of the greatest rapper producers, maybe the best rapper producer, if you will, if you want to go that label. So go ahead, Wade. I'm gonna
so 2009, you got together with Quick and you guys released Blackout. Tell us how that came about, man. It kind of, I know when the album came out, I kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. I know you guys knew each other from way back, but how'd you come together? And, it was a good short album. It was solid. Tell us how it came together, how you guys came together.
Just being friends. I call him Uncle Quick because he's been in the game longer than I have.
Yeah.
Like my uncle. And he always loved Kurupt and showed me support and love. So we just in the studio working, just making music. And then, Quick was just like, man, we might as well just do an album. We was clowning. I was like, hell yeah, let's, fuck it. Let's go. And we just started doing it. It wasn't even serious at first. And then we just started doing it. Quick said, be at the studio this time. I came and we never stopped. Bang, 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 bang. And then it was like, it became serious overnight because we was just joking and clowning. Yeah, we're going to do an album together. Yeah, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it. And we just started working on music. And then DJ Quick turned it serious and started making schedules and shit. Yeah, man, we're going to work this week. Woo-wop, the wham. The next week, we're going to work woo-wop, the wham. And I was like, oh, okay, well, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. And it came out great. You know what I'm saying?
He's a lab rat too, right? I mean, he stays in the studio.
And he's a stickler, like Dr. Dre.
Yeah. Tell me about the joint you did with Hammer, of all people, Sleeping on a Master Plan. I know this didn't come out on Death Row, but maybe he recorded it while he was signed to Death Row, or explain to the listener this collaboration in general.
Should brought him to us.
It was just you on that track. So
no, Daz did the beat.
Daz did the beat.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Hammer was working on a project. Suge came to us, man, Hammer working on a woo-bop. Get you some cheese and woo-bop the lamb. Oh, okay, cool. So, Daz did the beat. The rest was history. Me and Hammer flew out with it. I wrote his lyrics. Right. So you know what I'm saying? That's how that came about. Suge brought that to the table.
You know, Hammer always kind of, you know, gets a bad rap sometimes, but and I know you know this, he's probably considered one of the most respected / feared dudes.
Royalty.
In all of hip hop. Like, you don't cross Hammer. Like, he'll kill you with a smile. He might be the nicest dude in the world. You know what I'm saying? But he had influence, juice.
Damn right. He employed a lot of people. He was a businessman. And he had fun, you know what I'm saying? That was him. He had fun doing it. He liked to dance. And that's what he did. You know, hip hop was based off of dancing and having a good time. You know what I'm saying? Hardcore hip hop, East Coast, was based on rocking the crowd. You heard what Rakim said, MC means move the crowd. So it's always been a party move up. So Hammer, you know, he liked to dance and he liked to have fun. And that's the type of records he made, the type of videos he made, the type of shows he brought on. He believed in them big, full production shows and all that type of shit. 30,000 dancers and shit and entertaining. And that's what he brought to the table, you know what I mean? And that enhanced hip hop a lot because it was a part of multi-million sellers with that multi-million-dollar shit up in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? All of those different things of hip hop. Hardcore hip hop might not like it. Gangster rap might not like it. The South might not like it, but each different person that's successful is successful in the name of hip hop. This is why hip hop is the number. It's the number one over rock and roll, country, and western alternative. Hip hop is number one because it's in every one of those things, and those things aren't in all hip hop, but hip hop is in all of those things. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So we went from just being on the block, it just being in New York and just being a hobby, to being one of the number one things in music there is, hip hop. We got our footprints in time of music and opened up so many doors for people. You know, now people making records at young ages, they've been doing it. Criss Cross, you know what I'm saying? ABC was singing, but that was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? BBD was singing, but that was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's the whole key to the game. Boys to Men, that was singing, but they was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, Hammer definitely has to be respected for what he brought to the table. Shit, Vanilla Ice has to be respected for what he brought to the table.
Well, now you're going a little far.
I mean, he sold millions. He sold millions of records in the name of hip hop. Anybody is selling millions of records.
Everyone's got their place.
Hip hop.
Everyone's got.
You got to give them. You got to. You know, you ain't saying he's the best rapper. You ain't saying he's the best MC. You ain't saying he's the best at all. But what you got to give him credit for is how he elevated record sales in the name of hip hop. He introduced the white generations to hip hop. He introduced, you know what I'm saying, and he employed the urban community because the nigga who made Ice Ice Baby, he's black.
And indirectly may have helped start Death Row Records.
Indirectly.
Hey, I'm gonna go all day with Dre questions, only because there's just so much mystique behind the guy. I don't think he does enough interviews to really understand enough about him. So I think listeners all want to know. Look, you made some of your best music with Dre, and I just want to know: are you going to be on the forthcoming album? We've seen everyone talking like Diamond D, Exhibit. Everyone's on social posting pictures with him. Just want to get an outsider's glance about this particular project he's about to do, and just the overall vibe. Are you a part of this?
What project is that?
Well, this is kind of the new project that he's supposedly working on. I mean, you see this push with him posing in pictures with everybody. So you have to think something's kind of bubbling.
You never know with Dr. Dre. You never know.
Well, if he wants another explosive verse, he's got to go to you. Let me ask you this though: did you have an opportunity to be on the next episode? You kind of started off, but you don't add a verse.
Yeah, that was what Dr. Dre wanted from me.
So
another thing Dr. Dre told me, it's like I told you, say, fill in the gap, say what you want to say there. You say the right shit, you make it. Same thing in the next episode. You know, he said, man, corrupt your voices, you keep. And, you know, your demeanor. We ain't even got to rap in this. Do that corrupt shit. So I did. Bam! Being on top of it with them ad-libs. And that's what I did on that particular record. Just them ad-libs. Gave me another lane. Taught me another thing. You know, just my ad-libs is the money too. Then I went further and got on Jhené Aiko's record. I wasn't even rapping on there. Jhené put Jhené in featuring Kurupt. All I did was talk that to you. My voice is the instrument. My voice is the money. I ain't have to rap. So, you know, Dr. Dre set that off in the next episode. It gave me a whole nother lane. I could be on the record, not even rap. Just my presence, just talking to him, my Kurupt, just being myself is the money. So I went from next episode to You Never Call Me, Jhené Aiko, of me just being a presence. And it mattered just as much as the verse.
It seems like he's made you guys all swear to secrecy that nothing's fucking going on right now. But
yeah,
damn right, something's going on.
I mean, you know, Dr. Dre's still working on Detox. So it's like, what project are you talking about?
Well, you know what?
Shit he never stops. So what is he working on? Never know. He's been working on Detox for centuries. And then he came out with Compton. But he's still working on Detox.
Yeah.
So anything new that he's working on, ain't no telling. That's the key. Ain't no telling. I ain't heard of anything new. All I know is Detox. But you never know with Dr.
I wouldn't be surprised if you showed up. At least it would be very fitting to see you back on a Dre album. And what's fitting is this new album, The Last Ride.
Oh, I'm going to be on it. You motherfucker. Right.
Of course.
I'm going to make it. Dr. Dre always going to give you the chance, but you got to make it.
Yeah, man.
Shit, you in there. He'll give you the chance, though. And he gives me the chance. I dropped the ball a couple of times. Dr. Dre gave me a chance, and I just wasn't feeling it, wasn't in the right mood or mode, you know, and didn't make that particular song. But when Dr. Dre give me that right record, he always does, I'm going to make it. Oh, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the newest record before we head out of here. The Last Ride. So this is something that's been in the making for over 2 decades. We finally get to hear you, Razzie Kazzy, Killer Priest, and Biss.
My purpose is getting paid in pieces by every nigga. I'm mobbing through a line. You better get brain, nigga. You try to catch me and end up catching body shots, nigga. I'm pivotal with the pistol squad and got him mop niggas. My nigga Ned won't hesitate to follow the Eagles and Sleepy Hollow. Spin niggas and make them wobble. Hair hunting, bullets ricocheting, double doses. My bitches like Ashanti and your bitches like Rasputin. 1 second of terror, a milligram of fire. Squeeze the breath out of a nigga like some nooses and some wires. Squeeze the death out of a nigga like a tourniquet and pliers. The K's, the nickels, I'm the neighborhood supplier. Everything the homies want and need, I supply them. Nigga, that's Gotti. Don't even try them.
You got a lot of features, man. I'm looking Chino XL, you got Planet Asia, you got Tragedy Gaddafi, you know, you got a lot of folks. But
that was classic in itself right there, because you know, Tragedy was one of the ringleaders for LA.
Of course. He was the mentor of Capone and Noriega. So
and I had crews with everybody on there. I've done records with everybody on LA. Me and Prodigy, we had a group called Rifleman with J.O. Felon.
Yeah.
Produced by Havoc. You know what I mean? So I had things with Havoc with Mobb Deep. And then Nori, we could freak it out. And then we got other records. And then Daz did a group with Capone. And we did a record on there, their first single, which is DPG CNN. You got Daz, Capone, Nori, and Kurupt. And then now, Raz brought to the table Tragedy Gaddafi.
So Intelligent Hoodlum. Let me a quick segue, because you talked about how you guys kind of come full circle. You know, you had your dust up with some of these people. Now you're working with them. I gotta ask you on I believe the track's called NY87, and I don't know what album it's off of, but I know it was you and Threat, and you shit on A Tribe Called Quest, right? What the fuck? Good old Tribe Called Quest, never hurt nobody. How did you take a shot at A Tribe Called Quest? What was the reason for that?
Everybody that took a shot at sometime or another says something about something.
I heard the meth nines is red, and I'm down with him. Indeed, we all smoke weed and clown with him. Hung around with him. One man, I ran with his clan. There's only one land. Niggas down with me, I can count on one hand. Come dumb, I get dumber. The double barrel pumper, heat dumper. And I've been rocking mics since Funky Drummer. These inventions wreak havoc, speak lavish lifestyles. I crack your clavicle for the cabbage. Rhyme savage. Introduction to death. Murder MCs, there ain't shit left in the sector. Why must MCs flip like gymnastics just to get their whole ass whipped? Claim to be classic, but you don't set no classic examples with your fucked up beats and your fucked up samples.
Whether it was the Coast or us or whatever it was, Channel Live said something before that reached our antennas. Tribe Called Quest reached our antennas. You know what I'm saying? And I responded to it all on NY87. You know, I explained Biggie's participation in New York, New York. You know what I'm saying? I explained, I addressed Channel Live, I addressed Tribe Called Quest.
Jeru?
Definitely. So, you know, I addressed everybody who had something to say that hit our antennas. And, you know, that was about it, you know what I'm saying? The Tribe said something, what Q-Tip did. And, you know, one of my very good friends, rest in peace, was Fife. You know what I'm saying? At that time, we was all on fire, so I responded to it. Yeah.
Well, that record, what was that made for? What album?
We just made it, you know, after Pop. It was around the Machiavelli time.
So it was just a Lucy from like 96.
Easy.
Okay.
Easy. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't made for no album or nothing. We just made it in response to everything that was going on. Said, you know what, let's just address everything. You know what I'm saying? And Threat joined the ride. We was all pushing the line for the West Coast. And yep, it never reached the light of day on an album or anything. You know, by the time it was for it to be a part of something, we was pretty much over it all.
Yeah.
Tupac died. It became irrelevant.
Well, I'm glad you guys are making music again. I'm glad there is no bullshit East Coast, West Coast media driven. Right. And I'm glad from a hip hop standpoint, you finally got to release The Last Ride. I know so many Horseman fans out there have been waiting for this. I mean, when you have lyricists like, you know, Biss and Ras Kass and Priest and yourself, it's a super group in itself, and it's not common. I mean, it's common in sports, but it's not common in hip hop. It's talked about a lot of the times, but it rarely comes to fruition. You know,
right.
And this did. So it's cool that despite the years that it took, it finally did happen. You have a killer lineup on there. I mean, it's something that I think everyone should check out. But more importantly, the fact that you're still making music, because it's easy sail into that sunset after putting in decades and decades of work. But you're still doing your thing, and look, you're reaping the benefits. You got fucking streets named after you now. I mean, what's the next thing you're gonna do?
I'm gonna keep on going.
You're gonna be in the Dre album.
Goddamn right. Hey, goddamn Skippy. I'm gonna make me like the Locks. I'm gonna make it. We gonna make it, man.
Did you watch the versus battle the other day?
Man, we want to see Kiss. We want to get kissed goodbye, man. Leave that man alone, cuz.
Do you think anyone can go toe to toe with Kiss right now?
When could they ever?
Yeah, I mean, Kiss is.
He's just getting his now.
That is definitely true.
That was like hitting a 3-pointer to go to the Final Four, right?
Right. Jada's always been a problem. You know, you don't, you do this music and you don't get recognized all the time. I mean, that's cool, but that's the purpose of just sticking to it, man. You got to stick to it. We make records. We do hip hop because we love it, cuz the perk of it is we get paid. And I tell all my youngsters and my pupils that, look, man, we get paid to have fun because rocking the mic is fun. Because I know for a fact I'll be doing this shit whether I got paid or not. You know what I'm saying? And Jada's one of those MCs. It's just something he's going to do for the rest of his motherfucking life, whether he get paid or not. He's going to always rock a rhyme. You know what I'm saying? So it's good that people are seeing that now. Unfortunate that he had to lay bodies on the ground in order for it to happen, but that's what hip hop is. You know, you battle, and that's when you get seen. You know what I'm saying? Out of all my great attributes to the game, New York, and the Death Row and Ruthless War, these were keys to my entire career in being seen and being noticed. War. Then I got to the point where I could be a star and enjoy myself with the stardom part of things and just make hit records and do that. But even myself, it was War that got me noticed. And Jada, he's been making hit records. You know what I'm saying? He's been recognized. But, now he's getting those flowers he deserved. He had to earn it. Dipset ain't easy, man. I mean, Jewels is a beast.
Just a different caliber of MCs, if you ask, in my opinion.
He's a beast. You know what I'm saying? Cameron's a beast. Sure, don't play with Cam, cuz. You know what I'm saying? So that ain't easy to get them props. Jada came with raw, unadulterated, pure hip-hop. And it just goes to show you the power of hip-hop, cuz. You know what I'm saying? It's still powerful. Everybody off of hip-hop, certain people that stay in that hip-hop, they can do both. They can do the hardcore, real hip-hop. They can also make these secular records, you know what I'm saying? But Jada showed his real hardcore hip-hop roots. And you see people notice it, but throughout his career, you listen to any of his records, his rhymes is impeccable.
Well, let's talk about the power of Philly when we head out of here. So when I think Philly, I'm thinking Will Smith, I'm thinking Schoolie D, I'm thinking Black Thought, Beanie Siegel, Freeway, and Kurupt Young Gotti. So, I mean, if there's that map of Philadelphia's hierarchy of lyricists, you're right there, man. And I know you represent the West, but as a Philly boy, and I think I speak for many, many people, especially on the East Coast, not just Philly, we view highly of you as a Philly lyricist, the same way we view Kobe as a Philly athlete, Philly born and raised. You
better believe it. He's the Illadel. Hello.
Yeah, man.
What's my motherfucking name? Flamethrower. I throw flames. Lay niggas down all the time. I'm the one to blame. When you see the earth shake and quake, it's probably me. One of the livest MCs there'll ever be. I lock it down all the time. Drop rounds, I pop rounds, knock niggas up and down until there's nobody around. Next time you see me coming, everybody start running. That's the best thing to do before I start popping and gunning. They call me Gotti for a reason. It's body season, where I start bodying bodies everywhere. Nobody's leaving. The first thing I learned as an MC is how to just torture MCs, break them down to their knees, pick them back up so they could walk a billion degrees. I hit these niggas all the time. The big dog, they fleas. Like, nigga, please, tell your bitch to eat these. Stop it.
Damn.
Yes.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
Give us a lot of time. I didn't think it would go this overtime, but you know what? It says a lot about the interview and the connection we have. So I appreciate it.
Every time.
Like, we only fuck with the top tier MCs, and like I mentioned before, we have some of the best on here, and it was important that we had you, especially now that you're putting out music again. And I'm glad we connected, man. I appreciate the time.
Thank you very much. Thank y'all for having me.
All right, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, I'm gonna send y'all the woo bop. Good luck.
All right, be good. Peace.
Yeah, check this out. This Kurupt, doing it big. Kevlar, you dig what I'm talking about? Ron, my nigga. You dig? 360 in the building, full of flavor. We pushing this line heavy, you understand me? That TIP shit, we go from the tip top and make it drop. You dig what I'm saying? Take it personal. We push that line. You either love us or you leave us alone. Most people want to take it personal. Take It Personal Radio in the building where we hit y'all with this real subject matter. Talk about real hip hop. Let's get it, gentlemen.